What would you do if everyone told you to stop believing? There was once an old woman who prayed the same prayer for 47 years. 47 years of silence. 47 years of nothing. And yet, she never stopped. This is her story, and the miracle that proved the power of believing in God. In a small village where the hills touched, the sky and the rivers sang ancient songs, there lived a woman named Josephine. She was 82 years old now, with silver hair that fell like soft rain upon her shoulders and hands that had known a lifetime of work, of prayer, of waiting. Everyone in the village knew Josephine as the woman who prayed. Every morning before sunrise, she would kneel beside a small wooden bed in the corner of her home, a bed that had been empty for nearly 5 decades. It was her daughter's bed. The blankets were still folded the way a mother folds them. The pillow still waited for a head that never came. And every single morning, Josephine would close her eyes and whisper the same prayer: Lord, wherever she is, protect her, and if it is your will, bring her home to me before I die. She had prayed these words over 17,000 times, 17,000 mornings of faith, 17,000 mornings of believing when there was no reason to believe. You see, when Josephine was 35 years old, war came to her village. Soldiers marched through the streets. Families fled into the mountains. In the chaos, Josephine was separated from her daughter, little Amara, who was only 5 years old. She searched for days, weeks, months, but Amara was gone. Some said she was taken by soldiers. Others said she perished in the fire that consumed the eastern village. The government issued a death certificate. Her husband, broken by grief, stopped searching after 2 years. She is gone, Josephine, he said. We must accept it. But Josephine could not accept it. Something deep within her, deeper than logic, deeper than evidence, told her that her daughter was alive. I do not have proof, she would say, but I have faith. And faith does not require proof, it requires trust. Her husband eventually passed away, still begging her to let go. Her relatives held a funeral for Amara, burying an empty coffin. The entire village moved on, but Josephine continued to pray, year after year, decade after decade. The neighbors whispered behind her back. They called her mad. They pitied her as one pities someone who has lost their mind to grief. 40 years, Josephine, her sister, once said. 40 years of talking to silence. When will you stop? Josephine looked at her with eyes that held no anger, only certainty. I will stop when God tells me to stop. He has not told me, so I pray. But even the strongest faith has its dark nights. There were mornings when Josephine woke up and wondered if everyone was right. There were evenings when she sat alone in her empty house, staring at the bed that had waited for 47 years, and asked God the question she had buried in her heart. Lord, have I been a fool? Have I wasted my life believing in something that will never come? She would weep quietly. But then, something would rise within her. A warmth, a whisper. Not words she could hear with her ears, but words she felt in her spirit. Keep believing. I have not forgotten. And so she would dry her tears, kneel once more, and pray again. This was the power of her faith. Not that she never doubted, but that she never let doubt have the final word. In the winter of her 82nd year, Josephine fell ill. Her heart, the doctors said, was failing. She had weeks, perhaps days, left to live. Her nieces and nephews gathered around her bed. They wept. They held her hands. But Josephine was calm. I have lived a long life, she whispered. I have only one regret, that I will die without seeing my daughter's face again. She closed her eyes and prayed her prayer one final time, but now she could barely speak. The words came out as a breath. Lord, if it is your will. She could not finish. She fell into a deep sleep. The next morning, there was a knock at the door. Josephine's niece opened it. Standing outside was a woman, a stranger, perhaps 52 years old, with graying hair and trembling hands. She was holding something, an old, faded photograph. I am looking for someone, the woman said, her voice shaking. I have been searching for many years. This is the only thing I have from my childhood. She held up the photograph. It was a picture of Josephine, young and beautiful, holding a baby girl in her arms. The niece gasped. Where did you get this? The woman's eyes filled with tears. I have carried it my whole life. I did not know who she was, but something in me always knew she was my mother. The niece could not speak. She stepped aside and pointed to the room where Josephine lay. The woman walked in slowly. Josephine was barely conscious. Her eyes fluttered open as she heard footsteps, and then she saw her. The face had changed. 52 years had passed. The little girl was now a woman with lines around her eyes and grey in her hair. But Josephine knew. A mother always knows. Amara. The woman fell to her knees beside the bed, sobbing, "Mama, I found you. I finally found you." Josephine reached out with trembling hands and touched her daughter's face, the face she had seen only in dreams for 47 years. "You came," Josephine whispered. "I knew you would come. I never stopped believing." Amara wept, clutching her mother's hands. "How, Mama? How did you keep believing for so long?" Josephine smiled, her eyes glistening with tears of pure joy. "Because, my child, when you believe in God, you do not believe in what you can see. You believe in what He has promised. And He promised me He would not leave me. I did not understand for 47 years, but I trusted, and now I understand." Josephine lived for 3 more days. 3 days of holding her daughter's hand. 3 days of hearing her story, how she had been rescued by refugees, raised in a distant country, spent decades searching for her roots. 3 days of answered prayer. On the 3rd night, Josephine closed her eyes for the last time. Her final words were not words of sadness. They were words of praise. "Thank you, Lord. You heard me. You always heard me." She passed away peacefully, her daughter beside her, her prayer finally answered. Amara shared her mother's story with everyone who would listen. Her message was simple. "My mother prayed for 47 years without an answer, but she never stopped believing, and in the end, God answered." This story reminds us of a truth we often forget. The power of believing in God is not about receiving answers when we expect them. It is about trusting that we are heard, even when the heavens seem silent. Perhaps you too are waiting for something that feels impossible. Perhaps you have been praying for years without an answer. Do not stop believing, for the God who heard Josephine hears you too, and the miracle you have been praying for may already be on its way.